my friend, and welcome to the Saturday Satsang. Bliss and the secret to happiness. Bliss and the secret to happiness. I want to talk about bliss first because that will lead into the secret to happiness, to why you may not be happy right now, but you should be. It's your natural state. And the understanding of bliss, of what bliss means, will help with this. Because bliss is your natural state. Happiness is like opening the door, a tiny, tiny little crack, and peeking through into bliss. You know, without bliss and happiness are not the same thing. Without really deeply experiencing this great bliss that is always here, that's your true nature, you can think of bliss as being happiness on steroids, or happiness times infinity. You know, without experiencing it, that's not a bad way to see it, because you've experienced happiness at times. And if you experience happiness until happiness takes over everything, so nothing exists but that, you're starting to experience what bliss is. The way I experience bliss is the entire universe is my body. The entire universe is my body. When I realize this, when I deeply realize that experience, the realization of this is an experience of bliss. But again, until you directly experience it, it's not going to make any sense to you, because you're trying to understand this through your mind. Ramana Maharshi, when he woke up, he had a profound awakening. And when he woke up and experienced this profound awakening, he sat in silence for 9 years without really moving. Rats chewed on his legs. He didn't move. He didn't, do anything to take care of that. And so people asked, why did you do that for 9 years? And he just answered in one word: bliss. The bliss. That's how all-consuming bliss can be when you deeply experience it. You don't want to come out of bliss because it's bliss. Even to feed yourself, even to take care of the body. It's a very intense experience, bliss is. And there's levels of your experience of it, of course. It's infinite. Your true nature is infinite, so that your levels of experience of bliss are also infinite. But Ramana Maharshi's experience for 9 years was very intense. A very intense, direct experience of bliss. And the experience of bliss is transformative. It completely transforms everything. Everything. And while you're experiencing bliss, it's actually doing things to your body and mind. It's when I went on these long silent retreats of a year, 7 months, and every year for 3 months, for quite a few years. That's what I experienced. Just bliss the whole time. And that's why I didn't want to really come out of it and engage with people or have conversations or talk to anybody, because I was in bliss. I didn't want to interfere with that. It wasn't as intense as Ramana's in just not moving at all, not feeding yourself or taking care of yourself. I did those things. But there was quite an intensity of bliss during that time. And over time, it just became the background of everything. So my life now is pretty much always bliss, of one level of intensity or another. different levels of intensity, but always bliss. It's the background of life because it is my nature. It is what I am. It is what you are. Bliss. And we also talk about peace and unconditional love, but these things are not separate from each other. It depends what aspect of our nature we're focusing on. Bliss, peace, peace beyond understanding, unconditional love. These are not three separate things. We cannot really separate these out. And there's no reason to. But there are times when we focus on a certain aspect of it and might call it peace or unconditional love or bliss. But now we're talking about bliss. There's I worked with a fellow in Sedona who had spent some time living in an ashram in India and experienced bliss there. And when he came back to the States, to the US, he wanted bliss. He was a bliss seeker. He wanted that same bliss that he experienced in the ashram in India. And he couldn't find it. Can you understand why? This is part of the secret to happiness. He was seeking bliss and doing everything he could to attain bliss, to experience the bliss that he felt spontaneously when he was living in the ashram. And he couldn't. Went back to India many times, didn't experience bliss. Came to see me, looking for bliss, didn't experience bliss. Wanted the bliss that he experienced that I was experiencing, but he couldn't feel it. He couldn't experience it. Why do you think that is? When he put all his effort into trying to experience bliss, and yet he couldn't do it. Interesting, isn't it? It's important to understand this and the reason why he didn't experience bliss, even though his whole attention was on getting it, on attaining it. All his efforts went into experiencing bliss, and yet he didn't. Is it because bliss is a one-time thing that you can't experience again? Of course not. It's your nature. That you don't experience bliss is only a result of your mind. That you're not experiencing bliss right at this moment is only because of your thoughts. Because you believe your thoughts. You believe what your thoughts tell you is reality. It's not. Bliss is. Bliss is your true original nature. So how could he not experience it when he spent so much effort trying to? Well, that's really the point. It's your true nature. Trying to attain your true nature does not attain your true nature. You are your true nature. Now, when I was thinking of talking about this today, I thought, well, how can I help people experience this bliss that I experience? How can I help people experience it? So there's always a level of bliss all the time. I mean, I never pretty much ever don't experience bliss. But there's different levels of it, different intensities of it. When I'm quiet in meditation and just being silent, it can be very, very intense. Just completely take over everything. And at other times, when I'm going to the store shopping or whatever, or lifting weights or something, it's less intense, but it's still there all the time. It's just not quite as intense. Not quite as all-consuming because my attention is also on other things. So it just depends where my attention is. So as I was thinking about this and thought, how can I help you experience bliss? What can I do to help you experience bliss? So experiencing bliss. I said, like, okay, how do I intensify? How do I intensify this bliss? And so what happened? My effort to intensify the bliss that I was already experiencing had an interesting result. The result was not that I experienced more bliss, but I didn't even experience the bliss that I was experiencing before. For the first time, I didn't experience bliss at all because I was trying to. Because I wanted to intensify the bliss that was there, and the result was I didn't experience bliss at all. As soon as I let that go, that trying, that attempt to experience bliss, the bliss is back again. So I never try to experience bliss. It's just my nature. I don't think about it. If you try to experience bliss, you will be guaranteed not to experience bliss. That's the paradox of life and truth. When you try to experience what you are, your true nature, you will not experience what you are, your true nature. Because trying to experience something is an illusion. It's a dream. It's a thought. You're trying to experience a thought. It's not real, so you can't experience it. And this is part of the secret to happiness. By trying to experience happiness, by trying to have happiness, you're guaranteed not to have it. It's just the sure way not to have it. By trying to experience bliss, you're guaranteed not to experience bliss. So that was the reason that this guy was searching and seeking and trying everything he could to have bliss. All meditation practices, chanting practices, mantra practices, and still no bliss. Because he was trying to experience bliss. If he let go of trying, and he just repeated a mantra until his thoughts subsided, and all there was the mantra, he probably would experience bliss without thinking about it, without trying, because it's our natural state. So when your mind is not distracted by thoughts, by belief in thoughts, you will experience happiness. You will experience bliss, because that is your true nature. It's your thoughts that are preventing you from experiencing this. What you are. Your thoughts are what are keeping you lost in a dream. And there is no bliss in a dream. There is no truth in a dream. There's no peace. There's no unconditional love. There's no freedom. But there are problems. There's lots of problems in a thought dream. Because your ego sees problems everywhere. It sees lack. So it wants bliss because it doesn't have bliss. It doesn't experience bliss. It thinks bliss isn't here. So it wants it. So it seeks it. That's the dream. That's the ego. It seeks bliss because it feels that it's not here. It believes that it's not here. It doesn't experience it. It just experiences a world of problems, a world of separation. As I said in the beginning, bliss is the realization that this entire universe is our body. This entire universe is your body. Can you feel what that feels like? The entire universe is your body. This isn't your body. The entire universe is your body. This body is included in the entire universe, as are all bodies, as are all existence. And all existence is your body. All existence is your body. And everything that exists is included in this body that you are. Everyone you see, everything you see, everything you hear, everything you taste and touch is included in the body that you are. Nothing is separate from you. Nothing can ever be separate from you. This is a realization of truth, of fundamental reality. And when I say realization, realization is not a thinking. It's not a mental understanding. Although, if you mentally understand it and fully accept it, it can lead you to a realization. If you let go of the dream, when you let go of the dream, this is what you experience anyway. And that experience is bliss. This entire universe is your body. That realization, that direct experience is bliss. And this is your true nature, and this is truth. If you try to seek bliss as something separate, as some experience, some, like my friend had in India, if you want to have that, it's just a thought, isn't it? He experienced bliss in the ashram always spontaneously, not by trying, but he experienced it and like, wow, I love this. Of course, everyone does. But then when you make it into something, you make it into a thought, into a dream, into a memory, and you chase after that thought and dream and memory, it's not bliss. Bliss is real. It's not a thought. It's not a dream. So you can't chase after it. It's your true nature. It's always present. It's always here, whether you know it or not. So you may not experience great happiness at this moment, but this is always here. Bliss is beyond happiness. It's happiness times infinity. Happiness is just like a tiny, tiny little taste, a little glimpse. You crack the window a little bit and look out through the crack, and there's bliss. That looking through the crack is happiness. But it's a beginning. At least it's a glimpse. It's a tiny little momentary taste of what is always here and infinite. So the experience of waking up is, bliss is part of that experience of waking up. It's realizing your true nature. The realization of your true nature is bliss. The entire universe is your body. through your dream and the ego thoughts, you think of your body as this vehicle. This is my body. This is who I am, or I'm in this body. But it's very different to realize that the entire universe is your body. It's a very different experience. Very, very different experience. That you are a separate being inside this body. What you consider your body is a dream, a limitation. And it's part of the reason that you're not happy. Part of the reason that you experience problems in life and suffering in life. Because you believe this dream. You believe this conditioning. The only reason you don't experience bliss is because of your thoughts, because you believe your thoughts. And part of your thoughts say, my body is not the entire universe. It feels like it's just here. That's your thoughts. Without those thoughts, you experience that the entire universe is your body. You experience bliss. Without those thoughts, you experience bliss. You realize your true nature, which is beyond all thought. So as long as you believe your thoughts, there's a limit on how much happiness you will experience. And it won't be continuous. It won't be all the time. Problems will distract you. Problems. Problems are of the mind. There are no problems. But the mind says that there are, constantly. And the reinforcement of this is everywhere. You know, looking at something as simple as a weather report will say, like, look out for the snow. It's bad. It's too hot. It's 110 degrees. It's too hot. It's dangerous. It's too cold. It's 30 below zero. That's too cold. That's not good. That's a problem. Everything's a problem. But in reality, nothing is a problem. Snow is snow, and it's not even snow. Snow is just a word. Hot is just a word. Cold is just a word. It's more dream. As long as you think it's hot, then you'll suffer from the experience of what you call heat. If you have no concept, if you don't think of heat, then you just enjoy it. If you have no concept of snow being a problem and creating traffic and you have to shovel out your car and being a nuisance, all these problem thoughts, then it's just snow. And you experience it like a young child. It's wonderful, isn't it? It's wonderful. There are no problems. It's all wonderful. It's all amazing. Only your thoughts get in the way. Your knowledge. This is bad, and that's bad, and that's bad, and oh, that thing over there is good, and I want to get it. All of these things create suffering. Your desire to have something creates suffering, and your desire to avoid something creates suffering. Your attachment and resistance create suffering. That's all they do. They will never bring you happiness. They will never bring you peace. They will never bring you love. But your very nature, your very being itself is bliss, is peace, is love. In other words, you already have everything. You already are everything. You are already 100% complete. And you always have been. It's only your thoughts, your conditioning that tells you you're not. If only I had this, then I'll be complete. And in spiritual seeking, we think, if only I had enlightenment, if only I had this great wisdom, if only I had bliss, then I would be complete. But I'm not now, and that's the dream. We can't change our thoughts to truth. We can't change our thoughts to make them better, make them more wise, make them more true. Because thoughts are not true. Thoughts are not truth. None of them are. That's why waking up simply means waking up from thoughts, waking up from this dream, and letting all thoughts go. All thoughts, our spiritual thoughts too, our thoughts of bliss, our thoughts of enlightenment. The Buddhist sutras, the teachings of Ramana, of Nisargadatta, of Dogen, Bodhidharma, let it all go. Let it all go. And experience your true nature. Experience bliss. Not by trying to. It just comes with a package of letting go. It's just all part of letting go of this dream. So to experience bliss, what do you need to do? Nothing. Nothing. Seeking it will just chase it away and move you further away from it. Seeking enlightenment will just move you further away from it. Because it is your natural state. You already are this. Why would you seek something that you already are? That you have always been, that you cannot not be? Why would you seek that? That's the dream. That's the craziness, the insanity of the dream. So to experience what you are, you simply let go of what you're not, which are all thoughts. You just let go of all thoughts. All you're knowing that you're not experiencing bliss right now. All you're knowing that you're not enlightened. All you're knowing that you're not complete. All you're knowing that you're just a limited body. You let go of all that knowing and open up to the realization of true knowing. Which is not a thought, beyond all thought, before all thought, as you are, as your true nature is. And part of the amazing beauty of this whole thing is that the more you let go, the more you experience this great profound bliss, this peace beyond understanding. And the more you experience that, the more you experience this, the more you open to it. Right? Because it's bliss. Everybody wants this. Everybody loves this. So you open to it and you experience more of it. Not by trying. It's a letting go. It's a giving up on trying. Giving up on your seeking. Giving up on your search. If you try to experience that the entire universe is your body, well, of course you won't, will you? Because you're trying. And your very trying is saying, like, I'm not the entire universe is not my body right now, but if I try hard enough, it will be. Well, see, that's right off. That's preventing you from experiencing what is true right here and now, right in this moment and always. The entire universe has never been other than your body. The realization experience of bliss has never been other than your true nature. So trying to experience bliss is saying it's not here now, but if I try hard enough, it will be. That's a lie. That's an illusion. So it will not work out because bliss is truth. You're not dealing with a new fantasy, a new spiritual thought, new spiritual knowledge, new spiritual fantasy. It's real. It's truth. It's always present, as all truth is. So right now and always, you are this bliss. The entire universe is your body. And everything you perceive is not separate from this entire universe. Everything that's formless is not separate from this entire universe. Because when I say entire universe, I'm experiencing all that's formless too. All that cannot be seen, felt, touched, heard. That's all here too. That's all within this body that you are. And if you experience that, there's great freedom in this. Profound freedom, which is also your true nature, which is also what you are. And the experience of what you are is bliss. It's not from trying. It's your true nature, your original nature. There's nothing that you can do to be this. There's nothing that you can do to not be it. All your distractions and thinking and belief that you're something else doesn't change this at all. You are always your true nature. And whether you realize it or not, or experience it or not, bliss is also always here, always present. I had a student a while ago, Deborah. She's amazing because she had a great traumatic suffering when her husband died, and was going through a lot of great suffering, really profound suffering. At some point, it was so challenging that she would find herself just lying on the kitchen floor, writhing in the kitchen floor in just agony. And at some point, she realized at the same time she was in the most deepest despair and depression, she experienced bliss at the same time. The depression and despair was there at its height, and yet bliss was here. It's a profound discovery, a profound realization. And a surprise to her, of course. What's bliss doing here? But yet it is, because bliss is always here. Bliss is always here. And you realize this not by trying to, but by letting go of trying. Letting go of all your thoughts about what you think enlightenment is, what you think freedom is, what you think bliss is, what you think suffering is, what you think you are, what you think the world is. Just drop it. Let it go for a moment. Let it all go for a moment. Isn't this what samadhi is, right? You've heard about samadhi, satori. These are words for awakening, for an awakening experience, a deep awakening experience. And what they are is letting go. As Dogen says, body and mind drop away. As Ramana says, the world drops away. The world disappears. It all disappears. The illusion, the dream disappears. And what's left is reality beyond thought. Beyond thought. Beyond all thought. That's the experience of samadhi. Understand the simplicity of what I'm saying. It's very simple. Anything you understand through words or spiritual teaching is not it. It's pointing to it, but it's not it. The direct experience of this, which is the only truth of it, is beyond all thought, free of all thought. It doesn't mean you don't have thoughts. You just don't pay attention to them. Thoughts still happen. It's the purpose of the brain. We have a wonderful brain that produces thoughts and runs them like a hamster wheel, repetitively, repeating over and over and over again. Occasionally a new wrinkle comes in and we get that one too, or some new knowledge comes in, and this is how we learn. It's wonderful, learning and thoughts, but it doesn't have anything to do with reality, with this deeper truth that I'm talking about, with your original nature. It has nothing to do with that. Truth is beyond all words. My words, everyone's words. And to experience this great truth, thoughts can be there, just don't pay any attention to them at all. Many awakened people say that they haven't had a thought in years. It doesn't mean that thoughts aren't still there. The brain is still churning out thoughts, but their attention is so far off them that they just fade into the background. And there's no notice of them. And yet they're still churning away. It's what the brain does. So you can now let go of all attention on thought. If you realize that no thought is true, it's much easier, because we hold on to thoughts and believe thoughts because we believe some of them are true, or some of them might be true. Or if I get some new knowledge, maybe that's true. Or some of the things we're still holding on to, I know that this is true, but that's all a dream. That's why you're attached to thoughts. That's why you're still holding on to thoughts. That's why it's hard for you to just let them go completely and open to life as it is. So if my friend stopped chasing bliss, if the word bliss just disappeared from my friend's mind completely, it's very likely he would experience bliss. Even the word bliss can keep us from bliss. We have to let go of everything. It doesn't mean, people are afraid, I know, like, oh, I don't want to let go of everything. What about my relationship? I'm married. I have a wonderful relationship. I don't want to let go of that. It doesn't mean your relationship is going to end. If anything, it may become much deeper and stronger. But yes, you have to let go of everything. What about my job? Yeah, you have to let go of everything. It doesn't mean you're not going to have a job. It doesn't mean if you let go of attachment to your house and what you think your house is, that suddenly you'll be homeless. It just means you let go. You let go of all thoughts about it. All words, all thoughts, all knowledge. You just let it all go. And then you will see, you will have the direct experience of what it's like to experience reality of this great bliss, this peace beyond understanding, this profound unconditional love. You'll directly experience that, and you'll directly experience your house in a way that you never had before, in a far deeper way. You'll experience your relationship in a far deeper way. The person that you're with in a way beyond all these thoughts about who they are, a little box that you put them in, their personality, what they like and don't like, who they are, that will be gone. And you'll be able to truly experience another being, maybe for the first time in your life. This is why letting go is so important to awakening and to living. If you don't realize your true nature and who you are, you haven't really lived yet. You've only lived in a dream, in the conditioned dream, the societal conditioning that all of us grow up in. You won't experience life beyond that. What a tragedy that so many never really live. And yet the entire universe is our body. Everything that exists, every person that exists, every being that exists. Thank you, my friend.